What's up guys, Carmine here, back again with another non-spoiler review, this time for episode 4, and as always, shout out to HBO for treating me like a princess and sending me those review copies. You guys are awesome. And for those of you wondering how I get to see the episode ahead of time, considering it didn't leak this week, well, I'll leave an answer to that in the comments below. Now of course, this won't be a long video because I don't want to spoil too much of it, but I will be doing my normal review video for this episode in the coming days because last week I couldn't really find the time. But that aside, as much as I really enjoyed episode 4, I think I liked episode 3 just a little better. But episode 4, I would argue, is better than episode 2. If I had to rank them, I would say episode 3 is my favorite so far, then 4 by a very close margin, and then 2. Now, I don't include the premiere in this ranking because that's a special situation, but all that being said, I really did like episode 4, and I think I know why I've been enjoying these last few so much, and it's mainly because it's that period of setup that I enjoyed in the first 4 episodes of Game of Thrones in season 1. It's a nice moment in the show's history where we get to see the kingdom in a period of peace before shit hits the fan, and I actually really like that. Obviously, House of the Dragon will include a gigantic civil conflict involving dragons and the great houses and all that, but that doesn't come until much later. A lot of these episodes have had great focus on developing its characters and the motivations, and that continues here in episode 4, and I've quite enjoyed it. And I have to say, I think what I missed most about Game of Thrones is all the cool locations we got to see and visit, and we're seeing some of that sprinkled here, especially in the last episode and this one as well. Don't get me wrong, King's Landing is fine and all, but I do get tired of seeing the same settings over and over again, to the point where it feels like the characters are prisoners in the Red Keep. That being said, the standouts of this episode, as ever, Viserys, great, Rhaenyra, Alicent, all of them, all do a fantastic job, but I think Daemon is the one who'll be the main person everyone will be talking about after watching the episode. But I can report with confidence that episode 4 is as good, if not better, than what we've seen so far, though I do wonder if I feel this way because of how lukewarm I've been with Rings of Power. In fact, I think House of the Dragon has made me appreciate showrunner Ryan Condal a lot more than I would have otherwise because of how close he's sticking to the source material. You could argue that it's somewhat not fair because George R.R. Martin is involved with the project and Tolkien isn't involved with Rings of Power, and okay, that's fair, but I won't lie. House of the Dragon really does have my appreciation for how they've been treating George's work. All that being said, I don't want to leave you guys with an incredibly short video, so let's find out what you guys have been thinking about the show so far. King Edward Longshanks I, Hammer of the Scots, Lord of Wales, and the King of England says, long name, I thought it would get a very large audience just from the virtue of being Game of Thrones and HBO material, but that it would struggle to pull in the really big numbers, but it keeps surpassing every expectations as audiences tune in for more and more. I didn't expect it to be on this level, and I'm not even involved with it, but I can only imagine how relieved the showrunners, writers, and HBO suits are that this thing has been such a smashing success after so much doubt of Season 8's legacy would taint Game of Thrones products. I think a lot of the fanfare is coming from how close to the lore the show is sticking to. Even though they aged up some of the characters and changed the look of others, the show has proven so good that even some of the grifter YouTubers who complain about it being quote-unquote woke have now have to shut up because the audience would turn against them. I remember one YouTuber who made his bones on the website by bashing The Last Jedi, and when Mandalorian came out, he tried to bash that too, but because the fans were so into it, he had to shut the hell up. I also think some of the success is due to how Amazon is handling Lord of the Rings. Clearly some of the decisions they made in regards to the lore has not sat well with people, and I think it's giving House of the Dragon this really good, rare opportunity to shine. There also definitely needs to be a conversation in Hollywood about how they handle the source material and how far they can change it, and I think these two shows coming out at the same time is a perfect way to do that. Next up we have Mako, who says, what's not to like about the show? So far this is on par or even better than the season 1 of Game of Thrones. Good for them, hopefully their ratings will continue to go up in the future. I keep seeing this a lot lately about how the show barely through its mid-season, it's better than Thrones, and I have to strongly disagree with this. Game of Thrones Season 1, in my opinion, is the gold standard of adaptations for shows. Book to show, of course. Not only did Dave and Dan adapt most of it well, they also trimmed some of the fat and carefully changed certain things where it would make sense. For example, Tyrion actually fighting in the Battle of the Green Fork. It's in the books, but in the show, he's knocked out by an axe before it even begins. As much as I wanted to see him in all that chaos, I thought the changes that were made were great. Same with Dany's wedding night, which in the books is a little, but in the show, I think they handled it very well. Clearly a change there that was done to great effect. Obviously, some of the stuff they couldn't do were cut out due to budget, but it still worked. House of the Dragon has more going for it, and HBO has given them an almost unlimited budget, but Thrones didn't have that originally. But I will say, it will be interesting to see how both seasons fare when House of the Dragon is over. Keep in mind that we're only 4 episodes in, and it could get worse before all is said and done. Dominic951 says, I'm loving King Viserys. He's so different from the other kings we have, and it's so nice not to juggle 10 different storylines together. Yeah, I remember that being a huge problem of a lot of casual fans, that a lot of casuals had, especially after more characters were introduced well into seasons 2 and 3. It got so bad with all the named characters and how many of them there were, that to this day, many people still refer to Dany as the Khaleesi and Tyrion as the dwarf or the little guy. And I'll be honest though, I do kind of miss all those characters and storylines, mostly because they worked very well and they were very well done, at least in the first few seasons. And as I said earlier, I miss going to all those cool and unique locations. It made the world feel alive and interesting. And I do believe that if they continue to follow the books, that we will go to some of these locations, but we won't stay there for too long, unless the showrunners introduce more characters, but then that becomes a problem because sometimes original characters just aren't that fun or interesting and they feel shoehorned in. Next up we have Lilith Summers, who says, I was the saltiest of the salties season 8 holdoffs and was determined not to like House of the Dragon, but damn, I really like it. You know what, that's very big of you to say, and shout out to you and people like you who can actually admit that. Once again, I said it before and I'll say it again, you can't believe the amount of comments I got, and I'm sure other Throne YouTubers got as well, of people complaining that the series is dead and nobody cares about it, but I'm sure you can imagine that they've largely disappeared after the premiere. And finally, over on Discord, Preston Jacobs says, on rewatch, it makes no sense. So many holes. Viserys literally says, I never imagined I would remarry. How stupid does that have to be? Lionel brings up the Laenor marriage and Viserys is floored. Oh my god, a marriage to a Velaryon, I never would have considered it. No one even mentions his dragon as to why the match would be good. I will say I can forgive him for saying that, considering he was drunk, and the way I personally took it is that he can never imagine being able to fall in love with another person other than Rhaenyra's mother after she passed away. As for the Lionel thing, yeah, I've got nothing for that. You might be, you got me on that one. Oh, and by the way, if you haven't checked it out yet, be sure to catch our House of the Dragon podcast. We just released our 3rd episode. It's over on my channel. And be sure to catch the after show party over on Preston's channel, where we discuss the episode immediately after it comes out. It's always fun reading your live comments and seeing what you guys thought of the episode, so be sure to stop by. But guys, that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said earlier, I thought episode 4 was actually pretty good, and I hope you all come back to this video and let me know what you thought of it, or in my episode 5 preview breakdown, where I go into what we can expect from next week's episode. Also, be aware that I will be live tweeting the episode, so be sure to follow me on Twitter at RedTeamReview, or any of my other socials. Links are in the description below. But as always, leave your thoughts down in the comments, hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already, because it does help out a lot, and once again, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all next time. Have a good one.